So Ashish Gupta is currently working as a product manager for the IEEE Blended Learning Program, which is basically an IEEE initiative to bring quality education to the technical domains to learners across the globe in a very scalable manner. He has about a decade of experience in embedded systems and product systems design, with special focus on the hardware-software co-design, and has worked with both startups as well as the industry leaders like Intel in this domain. Electronics tinkering, long drives, travel, photography are some of his hobbies. And his education is, he's got a master's in IT and embedded systems from the IIIT Bangalore, electronics engineering from the Kurukshetra University.
The purpose of this talk today is twofold. One is to highlight IEEE's very strong activities and ongoing contributions in this field of ethical awareness for the field of artificial intelligence, but more importantly to create these questions in your mind which should intrigue your mind and get you to start thinking about these challenges and issues which are very real and very practical and are staring us in the face, but probably may not get as much attention. So I'm here to talk about today the IEEE Global Initiative for Ethical Considerations in Artificial Intelligence and Autonomous Systems. So before I get into the meat of the subject, let me first have a short quiz based on Hollywood movies. I cannot start any topic on AI without this picture. So which movie does this represent? The Terminator. Okay, but what was the story of the Terminator? Can anyone just quickly tell me in a single sentence what was the story of a Terminator?
Basically, a Terminator comes from the future, or an artificial intelligence comes from the future and then tries to kill the guy who's gonna lead the human rebellion.
Exactly. So the theme is that at some point in time, the artificial intelligence and autonomous systems, Skynet, becomes so intelligent that it realizes one day, hey, wait a minute, why am I working for humans? I am powerful, I have the entire autonomous weapons system at my command, I cannot work for them, the planet belongs to me and humans should die, right? That was the theme. What about this one? What does this remind you of? The Matrix. And what did we see in Matrix? Similar theme, right? Machines become self-aware. They say that we are much more intelligent and we are the future, humans are the past. And they actually start using humans as batteries. They harness body heat of humans to power themselves. So, and then this one, iRobot. This is very interesting. So what was this all about? Can anyone tell me what was this all about? So this movie was about a company, USR Robotics, which thinks that it has made all its robotics and artificial intelligence systems very safe. And the reason why they think they have made them safe is because they have equipped them with these 3 laws. So no robot can function without these 3 laws is what their assumption is. These are very popular 3 laws. They were postulated by a writer, a philosopher, a thinker called Asimov. And these laws state that a robot should never injure a human being or through inaction allow a human being to come to harm. That is the first law. Second one, robot must obey all orders given to human beings. But there is an exception. In case an order given by a human being violates the first law, then you should not obey. And the third one is, robot has to protect its own existence also, as long as it does not violate with the first 2 laws. That movie is actually based on a novel, and the crux of that movie is that there can be only one logical conclusion of these 3 laws. And that logical conclusion is that humans cannot be trusted with their own well-being, because it is us who is actually destroying our planet. We are not taking care of our planet in the way it needs to be taken care of, and we are heading towards extinction. So the AI system in that movie thinks because of the first law, it must protect the human race, and the only way to protect the human race is to make them prisoners. Otherwise, they will kill themselves. So these three movies, there is a reason I just picked the negative side of this future. We have had very good sessions since morning, especially the last one where Mr. Suman Narayan highlighted how the machines are getting smarter and how much more efficient our world is going to become. But we have to take this progress with a pinch of salt, because these movies and these thoughts and these philosophies are based on some factual considerations that we must take into account. Does anyone remember who tweeted this sentence? This, if you are not concerned about AI safety, you should be. It is vastly more riskier than North Korea. This is a very famous tweet by a famous personality who got into a spat with Mark Zuckerberg. There are some other sentences that he had quoted, that he had said in some of the interviews. It seems very obvious that humans should attempt to make the future of humanity good, right? And it is best to prepare for or try to prevent a negative circumstance from occurring than to try to fix it later. This is all about his concerns for AI. So Elon Musk, the founder of Tesla, SpaceX, and now the Boring Company, very famously tweeted this when Mark Zuckerberg said that we should not be all negative about it. So this has become real. The reason I put up this tweet here is this is no longer a matter of science fiction, because there are companies working on systems which have acquired some sort of autonomous capability, and we are heading towards this. So at IEEE, our goal is to advance technology for humanity. There is no way that we can ignore this serious matter if we are to care for humanity. And hence, IEEE recognized that AI is a key emerging technology. Well, it has is not new now. It's been there now for some time, and we are seeing more and more software decision making in autonomous vehicles, in smart systems. So it is very important that we make sure that ethical considerations are taken into account whenever there is talk of AI. So the purpose of this initiative which IEEE has is to ensure that every technologist is educated, trained, and empowered to prioritize ethical considerations in design and development of autonomous intelligence systems. So this is as important or even more important that your code or your technology should adhere to ethical standards rather than to get it to work or to solve humanity's problems, because if this is not checked, there is very clear potential that it could lead into one of those movie scenarios. So IEEE Standards Association started an industry connect, and this is part of a pre-standardization work wherein a document was released after strenuous consultation sessions with over 100 global AI and ethical experts, AI ethics experts, which had 8 different committees. This document is called Ethically Aligned Design. This is an openly available document, and it was released in December 2016 under Creative Commons license. So this is designed as the go-to guide as a resource to help technologists and policymakers prioritize ethical considerations over any technological enhancement. I am going to, in this talk, give you the key concerns and issues that were identified by this committee, and it basically brings in a lot of different worries that we should be worried about when we go about this field of technology. And also at the end, I'm going to highlight some of the standards that IEEE has now started to work on to develop based on the concerns raised by this committee. So this is a quick demographics of the committee, wherein majority of the people were from US, 52%. The US and UK comprise the bulk of it. Most of the AI work seems to be driven out of there. And then if you look at the organizational breakdown, apart from IEEE's volunteers itself, there was heavy presence of private corporations, governmental presence, as well as R&D and university academia ecosystem. And we did have decent women representation also, 33%. So let me just quickly take you through the different working groups that were set up and in different regions for bringing about this work. There was an IEEE Brazil working group, there was a China working group, Japan, Korea, Then there are few planned working groups. India is also up there. Russia, Thailand, Israel, Ethiopia, so African nations also, as well as Mexico. And then going forward, these are some conferences planned for further revisions of this document. So version 1, ethically aligned design, version 1, 2016 happened in Europe. Then version 2, 2017, this is something that as we speak is already underway. This is going to come out by December of 2017, and then version 3 will come out next year. So this ethically aligned design had different committees. Each committee had a goal to look after some specific aspects of this larger issue of ethics in AI. And I'm going to talk briefly about each one of those committees and what their charter was and what their key concerns that were recognized by the participants. So the General Principles Committee, the first committee, has articulated high-level concerns. So all the AI machines and designs should embody the highest ideals of human rights as a general principle. And it should prioritize maximum benefit to humanity and the natural environment. And also, we have to mitigate any risks which come along with deployment of AI systems because they are integrated with the social network as well. So how can we ensure that an artificially intelligent machine does not infringe upon human rights? But the biggest challenge with the work of this committee was there is no one set of common human morals or principles that we can program into a device. It's very region specific. What is considered good for a particular community may not be for another one. So how do we work around this? So some of the issues that were encountered were the values are not universal. So how do we imbibe those values? Then some values might clash with each other. Humans keep on having differences of opinion and clashes. So how do we make sure that the machines don't adopt those differing values and then they don't clash on behalf of humans? I mean, it's already enough that humans have clashes with themselves, let alone machines fighting on behalf of us amongst themselves. And then AI systems can have built-in algorithmic biases that could disadvantage certain groups of people. For example, if the whole goal is to advance business by creating autonomous functions which help technology or reduce costs or increase business activity, will the future AI start favoring the rich and not care about the poor? How do we embed human values, and what are human values? So, difficult question, but that is a concern that needs to be looked at. Then there has to be methodologies to guide ethical research. Even the people who are working in this field, there has to be a framework for those. And some of the challenges, so main goal is machines should serve humans and not the other way around, right? And the issue is, or one of the biggest challenges is ethics is not part of degree programs even for humans. So even if the humans are not trained in ethics or sensitized about ethics, how can we expect that their output, their research and development activities will be? So there is need to differentiate culturally distinctive values embedded in AI design. But before that, the humans have to be made appropriately aware. And then there is even more important concern of the last one, lack of value-based ethical culture and practices for industries. Industries, by definition, based on capitalism, are meant for, and they do exist because they have a purpose, but how much priority they give to ethics. Then this one talks about safety aspects. So safety and beneficence of AI, general intelligence, and artificial superintelligence. Now, the AI systems, especially the really advanced and super autonomous, or what is known as the artificial advanced superintelligence, is going to have transformative effects on our society and our entire existence. Just the way Industrial Revolution was. Before Industrial Revolution, the entire world economics and politics was very different. Then came the Industrial Revolution and everything changed. Then came the computing revolution and everything changed. Then came the internet revolution and everything changed. Now IoT is also, and IoT and autonomous systems are considered to be the next one. So when this kind of transformation happens, how do we make sure that as AI systems become much more capable, they don't become inherently much more dangerous? How do we make sure that that transformation of society, at the end of that, it's for the betterment of humans, and avoid a scenario where after that transformation, we actually start working for some AI system which rules the entire globe, and we are all like a corporation. The CEO is an artificially intelligent system, and we are just employees of that. So the next one is personal data and individual access control. We have still not gotten around how to protect our personal data, make sure our privacy is not leaked when this technology is in the hand of humans, right? Someone mentioned about the leak which happened with Yahoo email accounts. Our life is very social and very easily open to scrutiny, and any computer hacker actually can get a big summary and even details of our life. How would the scenario play out if artificially intelligent systems are in control of that power, that they can access our personal information? That's very scary. So the issues that will be addressed in this is, what is the definition and scope of personally identifiable information? And there is an active standard which has come out of this committee, which will look at some standard ways in how we should store our information, how the information should be treated by companies when they're stored in their databases. What should be the rules for exchange of that information? The next one is really what the Terminator scenario is, autonomous weapon systems. So when AI enters autonomous weapon systems, that becomes really serious and scary. And it seems at this point that it's just a matter of time when it will happen. In fact, there were some reports that in the US there have already been some experiments where AI systems are in charge of their missile defense system. So this is very tricky. We need to make sure that there can be audit trails, that these defense companies or governments are open to audit trails and provide with transparency any data or information about what they are doing when they are creating such kind of systems, and they understand the implications of their work. Then one of the biggest challenges that professional organizations code of conducts have loophole. The loophole is, while they do have code of conduct defined for humans, they don't have a code of conduct defined for the robots or the AI machines or systems that those humans will create. So that loophole does not hold any employee accountable for what he creates. Those loopholes, those code of conduct only applies to the human himself. And then the last point, that's the most scariest part of it. Autonomous weapon systems are amenable to covert operations. So we have seen so many movies, right? Some based on true stories where American CIA or FBI has some secret war that they are fighting against Taliban in Afghanistan, etc. Autonomous weapon systems are very good tool for those kind of agencies to beat these kind of bad guys. But then once the machines take charge of weapons, who decides who the bad guy is? And covert operations are not even open to scrutiny by governments or international bodies. So what can we do about it? The next one is economics. So economics and humanitarian issues also need to be taken into account. You must have heard in newspapers that there are major concerns by groups of trade unions and employee unions that with a lot of automation, there's going to be a loss of many jobs. So how will we take care of our society and our economics in the meantime? The big challenge that we are going to face is that this technological challenge of advanced machines is happening too fast. And there is not enough time to retrain people who were earlier working as laborers or workers or machinists for them to become programmers or scientists. So there's going to be a gap in the economy that we're going to have a workforce who is suddenly out of job because of AI, and we didn't do it in a way where those could be trained to do something else and more useful in the era where AI is going to do most of the work. So this committee is going to address ramifications of application of AI to humanitarian and societal needs. And then there is the law committee. So whenever there is ethics, there is an issue of law. They will always almost translate into legal issues. There is a movie called Bicentennial Man. In that movie, Robin Williams was the lead actor, and he was an autonomous machine. He was a robot, and he was intelligent. And that movie was based about whether he has rights as a human or not. And he wanted to die, actually. So he said he cannot be. There was no rule for a robot to turn himself off. And the movie was about this debate whether he has the legal right to commit suicide. So laws will come into picture. And then if there is an autonomous system developed by a company which takes some decisions and does something to a user, who is liable for the decision made by the autonomous technology? Is the company that made that? Is the programmer who was involved in the development? Or who? God, maybe? So how can the AI systems be designed to guarantee accountability and make sure that they do not trump upon either individual rights or the laws of the society as those have come to be established? So those 8 committees that I talked about were the ones which came out of the 2016 work. Now there is a 2017 version 2 of this ethically aligned design, which I said is already underway. As I talk here, there is a committee which is already in progress to come out with the second version of this revision. And this will contain over 120 key issues. The first one had about 80 such issues. This will contain over 110 such key issues that need to be addressed one way or the other. And there are few more committees that have come into picture, which I just want to briefly highlight. This is very interesting. Effective computing. So this committee is going to look into the impact of intelligent systems which are capable of sensing human emotions. And they exhibit behavior like humans. So what is going to be the impact of those machines on people around them, right? Humans could get attached to those machines, and that could bring about a lot of issues of its own. So this committee is going to look into those aspects. And then there is classical ethics in information and communication technologies. This is going to look into how the communication technologies need to be used by AI. Is there any standard going to be governed to take care of or control that? Then there is mixed reality. So this is also very interesting. Mixed reality or augmented reality, virtual reality systems are becoming real. I forgot the name of this web service, which was like the Facebook for the virtual world. And once you wear your virtual reality headset, you enter the 3D space where you could meet another person. So another person sitting in some other room in some other country is also part of that space, and you can interact with that person in that role. But the issue is that you have taken up another identity of your own. So in real life, I am a person standing here delivering this talk, but in the virtual world, I may be another person who is interacting with that individual in that space. In this mixed reality world, and some of those characters might be artificial intelligent programs running out there. So how do we make sure that AIs behave responsibly in those worlds? And this raises a lot of ethical and philosophical questions. So this committee is going to look into that. And then well-being. So this is very interesting, and I don't know what to say about it, but well-being. So we can say that we want all autonomous machines to take care of human well-being, but what is human well-being? Is there a definition for human well-being? What will the programmer code for? So this committee is going to look into some definition or some scale of how to quantify human well-being beyond just monetary metrics, so that we can make sure that our autonomous systems take care of human well-being. So what I talked about, all those committees and the document, ethically aligned design document, was the work done to identify issues and concerns. And out of that work, now there are some IEEE standards which are currently under development. And these projects will try to answer some of those questions. And when these standards are published, then there can be some requirements put on companies and products to make sure that their products adhere to those standards. Quick information, IEEE standards, whichever ones start with the letter P, are the ones which are currently under active development. So before this, can anyone tell me which is the most popular IEEE standard? Yeah, that is one, but most popular, the first one that should come to your mind. Wi-Fi. Okay, so hopefully once these AI standards are in place and companies start making their products adhere to these standards, we can probably sleep with peace that they are not going to take over planet. So the first one is model process for addressing ethical concerns using system design. When you are in system design process for your AI systems, what should be the ideal process which will ensure that your systems are going to be ethically compliant? The second one is transparency of autonomous systems. So this standard will provide a framework for developing autonomous technologies that can assess their own actions and help others understand why that particular technology has made certain decisions. So this will bring transparency into system. And humans, as humans, we fear the unknown. So if the autonomous systems can help us know why they are doing what they're doing or the decisions they're taking, then probably that can allay some fear. So this standard is going to work on that. Then P7002, data privacy process, very important. How to manage privacy issues for systems and softwares which collect data and personal details of individuals. P7003, very important. So this is going to take care of algorithmic bias considerations. So how to make sure that an AI algorithm that you have written is not biased towards a particular set of results or is not biased to favor some particular set of communities or individuals. So that should take care of that. Then there is a special one for child and student data governance. This actually, even before the systems are intelligent, needs to be in place, because we need to make sure how this data concerning child development or student educational details are taken into account, how they are stored. And this will basically lay down the framework for how one should collect data, how those should be stored in the system, how that data should be removed. Then there's a similar one on employer data governance. So how should your employer make sure that the personal data that has been collected, how is it shared, how is it destroyed once he leaves the organization, how it is updated. The next one is standard on personal data, an AI agent. So it's the same thing. This will give, or the standard wishes to give this legal authority or a framework for individuals to create their own agreements and terms and conditions which either autonomous systems or organizations must sign up to before they start using individuals' data. Then the last one is actually very interesting. Standard for ethically driven nudging for robotic and intelligent systems. So nudging is a concept where you would give alerts or indications or notifications to humans or other AI systems to sort of move them to do the right thing. So it's like a parent nudging a child that you should not fight with others, or you should make sure that you share anything that you get. So this standard is going to try to create a set of framework where an autonomous system can have that as part of its behavioral modeling and make sure that it participates in positive nudging. Then, very important, standard for fail-safe design of autonomous and semi-autonomous. So if there is a fault that has to happen and the AI can predict or come to know that there is a failure that is inevitable, how should it fail? So if an AI who is managing the metro system of Bangalore suddenly realizes that, now I cannot maintain this traffic on the metro lines and I have to shut down, how should it shut down? Should it just make sure that all the trains are running and they collide with each other, or it should make sure that no humans are harmed when the failure case has to be take place? And then, as I mentioned, one of the concerns raised by one of the committee, there are well-being metrics standards being chalked out for ethical and automotive systems. So this will try to give a framework to the AI system how to calculate the well-being of a human. So if it's going to make a decision which is going to impact the well-being of a human, how will it decide what well-being means? So this brings me to the end of this conversation, and I have thrown a lot of data and questions and points to you without not many pictures, but the key takeaway that I would like you to take away is that this is real. This is no longer science fiction. This is real. That's the reason why I put up that tweet from Elon Musk. And this has to be taken care of before these systems mature, because this has to be taken care of while these systems are being designed. And delay in this matter could lead up to one of those three scenarios which I showed in the first 3 slides. So I would just want to end up with the same slide where I started back, just so that I can impress upon even one more time that this is serious business. And all of these standards are open standards. Any one of you can start contributing and participate in the development of these standards. You can come over to our website and start participating. There are various ways to get involved. With this, I come to the conclusion of my presentation. If you have any questions, please let me know.
So thanks, Ashish, for a very, I think, thought-provoking talk. My question is, you mentioned about ethically aligned design. Is that committee also going to define ethics?
So that's the difficulty with this topic. There is no one definition of anything. So that's the reason why the first draft, EAD, is not trying to define or answer anything. The first step was, let's just put out what all things need to be defined or what all things need to be taken care of. That is the reason why I listed those concerns raised by each committee. And there are no clear answers for those kind of things. Hell, we have not been able to answer those questions for humans first, let about machines. So we don't know that yet. But whatever is actionable is now coming in the form of standards. For example, this well-being thing, there is some way to quantify that. How to store your data, personal data, make sure there are standards that companies should adhere to, can be done. So whatever is actionable, there are standards which are translating out of that EAD. But really, the answer to your question, I don't have.
Yeah, again, if we use this AI in personal, like as used in iRobot,
yes.
If we use it for some personal reasons, it will be a loss of information, right? Like we are selling our information to somebody for free.
Mm-hmm.
So how it shouldn't be brought to personal thing. So what are your views?
So your question is whether those systems should be brought to personal use or not. It depends. I think it's inevitable. It is already happening. I'll give you one example. One of the concerns raised by one committee is data asymmetry. And I'll tell you what data asymmetry is. You use a Google phone. I use it for navigation every day because I want to know what time I'll reach my office so I can set up my meetings that day, because in Bangalore every day you start from office, you don't know when you will end up at home or the other way around. So Google knows what time I travel every day. Google knows where I park my car. That information is helpful for me because it helps me save time. It also tells me for how long I can park my car without getting overcharged. I'm very happy with that service. Okay, I am already using that system in my life. So your point, whether I should do or not, I didn't make that decision whether I should do or not. I have already started using it. Now look at it from Google's point of view. Google has data for everyone who is using an Android device. Now they have much greater power. They just don't know what I do. They know what people like me do. So that data can be used to benefit monetarily, because you could design products, businesses, services so that it helps me in my life and gets sold, or that kind of data could be used to plan where should I place a bomb in the Bangalore city and at what time it should go off so that it creates maximum damage. So this is called data asymmetry. This is a real problem. And this is one of the concerns that was raised by the committee. So how do we try to ensure that the AI systems by design are more sensitive to how to treat this kind of data? And your point about it is hackable, but let's come back to that movie, iRobot. So in the movie iRobot, the main AI was based on those 3 principles, right? The 3 laws which we thought will make everyone safe. Actually, it does not violate any one of those laws. It's just that the definition of laws itself leads to only one conclusion, that you cannot leave humans to do whatever they want if you want to keep them safe. Okay? It's like my mom saying it's very heavy and thick and difficult traffic out there, please don't go out. So it's inevitable. We are already started using AI systems in our day-to-day usage, but we need to have these systems designed with these considerations in place so we can avoid catastrophes. Whether we will or not is a different question.